2014, the United States Patent and Trademark Office canceled 6 trademarks for the professional football team, the Washington Redskins. The 2-1 ruling in the Black Horse vs. Pro Football Incorporated case was based on the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board's finding that the team's name and logos are disparaging towards Native Americans. Federal trademark law, specifically the Lanham Act of 1946, prohibits trademarks which may disparage persons living or dead, institutions, beliefs, or national symbols, or bring them into contempt or disrepute. Despite the recent June 2014 decision, this was the second time the United States Patent and Trademark Office had discontinued the Washington team's trademark registrations. In 1999, the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board reached the same conclusion, only to have it overturned in 2005 for failing to provide sufficient evidence of disparagement, and on the technicality of latches, that the 6 Native Americans who filed the petition with the Trademark Office were too old and had waited too long after turning 18 to file their complaints. In 2006, the second case was filed, Black Horse vs. Pro Football Incorporated, comprised of 6 younger Native Americans whose age would surpass this technicality. And while not specifically related to the case, it is also notable that since 1992, the United States Patent and Trademark Office has rejected the registrations of at least 11 trademarks bearing the word Redskin on the basis of disparagement. 7 of these trademark registrations were filed by Pro Football Incorporated, the company owning and operating the Washington Redskins. Public reaction to the decision was swift and varied, as many took to social media platforms to express their opinions. Some applauded the decision as a step towards Native American rights, respect, and dignity in a long and embattled history of Native American and non-Native relations. Others claimed violations of free speech that hampered the team's 80-year-old tradition. Those in support of the name, including the team itself, defended it as a badge of honor, only intended as pride and respect for Native Americans. Many cited anthropologist Ives Godar's 2005 article titled "I Am a Redskin: The Adoption of a Native American Expression" that researched the history of the word Redskin and reflected on its early tenure as a term embraced by Native people themselves. Additionally, accusations of Native American oversensitivity, political correctness, and a liberal agenda also followed.
I think that they should funnel all these great minds and all this energy to something that's more productive in this country, that's much further, much larger needs. Channel all this energy elsewhere than a football team. They just play football.
Those opposed to the use of the name asserted that it was a dictionary-defined racial slur, concurrent with the racially motivated, government-sanctioned murder of thousands of Native Americans in our country's past, which should not be used as a team name or mascot.
I think the word is a big issue, and mascots in general are a big issue because they illustrate a much bigger problem, the relationship that Indigenous people have with America, or America has with Indigenous people, dehumanization, and really the enabling people to be aggressive towards Indigenous people in a really passive-aggressive way.
Many cited a newspaper clipping in an 1862 edition of the Daily Republican advertising a $200 reward for every Redskin sent to purgatory.
So it's been going on for a long time, and it is offensive. It is a dictionary-defined racial slur, and it means a bloody scalp, and that's nothing that's dignified at all, and it should go.
For many unfamiliar with the issue, it seems to have arisen out of nowhere. However, many Native people have been fighting for its removal since the late 1960s.
For 45 solid years, we've been fighting this battle with racism, slurs, mascots that our children have to look at, have to watch every day of the week.
Native American mascots and names, they argue, have negative effects on how young natives view themselves, and no other race or ethnicity is manipulated in this way.
Suicide is the second leading cause of death for Native Americans ages 15 to 34. There is empirical, demonstrable proof of the detriments of mascots on those kids.
These mascots also create the illusion that Native people simply vanished into the past and assimilated into American culture.
And so I know that we have very serious issues, but I also know that when I walk into these rooms with these congressmen and these senators, that they have no idea who Indian people are, and a lot of that stems from mascots. The fact that the only experience they have with Native people is this fake caricature, and so I think it's very harmful.
As the late Native American historian Vine Deloria Jr. argued in the 1960s, the deep impression made upon American minds by the Indian struggle against the white man in the 19th century has made the contemporary Indian somewhat invisible compared with his ancestors. The decision itself, which is currently on appeal, does not force the team to change the name, but if upheld, will greatly inhibit the team's ability to defend these marks against those who seek to profit from the name without permission. Because the board's decision does not force the hand of the team, it has been regarded by many as symbolic, but it is the interpretation of that symbolism that has become so divided. On any controversial subject, the variance in opinion can often be fueled by misunderstanding, misinterpretation, and a simple passion for the agenda. People can ignore facts that harm their cause, or exaggerate the ones that support it. Our own tendencies in regard to confirmation bias can lead us each to reach different conclusions when confronted with the same information, simply because we gravitate towards information that supports the beliefs we already hold, either consciously or subconsciously, and discard the parts that don't. Regardless of what you believe on the issue, whether opposed to the name, in support of it, or taking the middle ground. Regardless of what you know or don't know about Native Americans, whether stereotypical portrayals, accurate truths, or very little at all. It cannot be denied that the word Redskin has proven to be more than a word.